Fortnite now has a first-person Counter-Strike mode that's actually quite impressive. Epic is not backing down from their Fortniteify everything roadmap, but how can this mode possibly stack up against the legendary titles it's copying? And are we heading for a world where the top esports games are played in Fortnite? Well, let's check it out. So this Epic-made Fortnite experience is called Ballistic, and it's modeled after the classic bomb defusal mode from Counter-Strike. 2 teams of 5 players each battle it out in a round-based brawl of economy management, map knowledge, and twitch reflexes. And before I get too deep into this first impressions, I think it's important to keep in mind that this experience is technically a beta, so getting overly critical might be beyond the scope of today's video, but we can still certainly look at the bigger picture of what this all means. So firstly, I gotta say I was impressed with just how easy it was to get into Ballistic. It's a fun drop in, drop out, casual experience. Despite it actually having ranked mode, it feels pretty relaxed. And Epic have clearly done a good job building their new FPS system. This is a relatively new feature since Fortnite has been predominantly third person for pretty much all of its modes and experiences. It's not quite yet as fluid as a traditional FPS game like Counter-Strike or Call of Duty, but you might not notice that unless somebody told you that Fortnite was originally a third person and that this game was sort of a third person pretending to be a first person. Recently, I checked out some of the other player-made Fortnite experiences using Epic's new FPS tools, and they were cool, but none of them left me stunned. They all felt a bit janky, and so it's nice playing Ballistic, which has sort of got that epic level of polish on it, and it's showing how it can be done, and honestly, it's impressive. It definitely holds up. Got all the right tools to become a Counter-Strike clone. Even in the few matches I played, I noticed some metas developing, with certain weapons performing well in specific areas. Locking down mid lane with a long-range gun, getting aggressive and flanking the enemies with suppressed SMGs, using the hand cannon pistol in an economy round just to save some cash. It all clicked and worked like how you would expect it to. And it's very clear that Epic have put some serious thought into the overall design of Ballistic. And the mode isn't just borrowing from Counter-Strike exclusively. There's some clear inspirations from other esports like Spectre Divide and Valorant. At the start of the match, you pick which utility item you'll have access to. Options are stuff like a frag grenade, proximity mine, recon grenade, or an impulse grenade that launches players. This pick your utility at the start of the round was something that Spectre Divide does. And once you're in the game, there's a standard buy time where you can purchase a variety of weapons and gadgets. And like Valorant, you can move around with temporary walls preventing you from leaving your team's spawn area. Unfortunately, there's no way of refunding items right now, so if you accidentally buy an SMG when you wanted an assault rifle, you'll just have to buy both or stick with what you've already got. You also get a map where you can drop pings on to help communicate with your teammates about strategy. And if you're on the attacker side, you get a bomb that someone has to carry to one of the bomb sites. It's all pretty straightforward bomb defusal esports stuff. Guns, grenades, and your team's strategy. Something that I was actually quite impressed with was Fortnite's audio. It's honestly fantastic. It even borders on being overpowered considering how easy it is to hear enemy footsteps. I could hear enemies coming from several meters away and just hide as they pass by to get some free kills from behind. Footstep audio in most competitive FPS games is pretty decent, but I think Epic's experience tuning their Battle Royale over the years has let them dial in audible footsteps really well. If you're used to listening intently from, say, a match of Counter-Strike, well, it's going to be a bit easier in Ballistic. Now, obviously, this game isn't perfect, or it would be making waves in the esports scene. Like a lot of games trying to copy Counter-Strike, Ballistic's economy is kind of afraid of being, well, an actual economy. After the pistol round, I almost never thought about managing my money, and that's mainly because it seemed like I was always able to afford an assault rifle. But it's also because just about every gun in the game feels pretty viable from round 1 to the final round. Also, every gun has infinite ammo, so not only do you not have to buy ammo, but it just feels terrible in terms of overall balance. Nothing says tactical FPS like a one-shot sniper rifle that can also fire with infinite ammo. Managing your money and weapons is a huge aspect of the strategy behind Counter-Strike, so copying the gameplay without that strategy layer makes Ballistic feel like the Counter-Strike we have at home. I also think being able to see exactly where your grenades are going to go before you throw them is a bit overpowered. Many rounds I set up with a grenade ready to toss and get tons of free damage because I could just line it up and land it at the enemy's feet without having to learn any special angles or lineups. Now, one thing that I don't love that is something that games like, say, Valorant do as well is that if you start shooting, you actually can't change your weapon's aiming mode. So if you start firing from the hip and then you want to switch to ADS, you have to stop firing and then switch. It's just a little awkward. I don't love this, and some esports games are doing this. It feels a little out of place in Ballistic. As for map design, Epic certainly know what they're doing in terms of quality and smoothing out the edges, but the A site is way easier to attack and hold than B site, which is a problem if you only have one map. B site is just more complex with lots of additional cover, which tends to favor the defenders. A site is yet another Mirage clone with a perch overlooking the site, a big box in the center of the site, and 3 main entry points. And I'm not saying that it's bad map design, but if you only have one map, I'd say there's better maps to copy. I only ran into a few bugs while playing, but they seem pretty minor. A weapon I dropped while buying a replacement got stuck in the wall, which was a little confusing, but I was still able to grab it. Beyond some of the bugs and balance issues though, my main issue with the experience was that players kept leaving and joining matches like crazy. Like a Counter-Strike mode, there's no revives when you die, so you just have to wait out the round to see what happens, and so many players seemed like they just got bored and left. And I can't imagine Ballistic doing that well if lobbies can't even stay full from one round to the next. In my first ranked match, 3 of the players on my team quit despite us basically dominating. We even ended up winning the match, so if you can't keep your teammates around while you're winning, I mean, what hope is there for the future of this game? And I think it really just comes down to a mismatch between game type and Fortnite's current user base. I think the current Fortnite players are looking for something way more casual, and Epic are in a tough spot trying to cater to both the casual and competitive crowds. Like in a proper competitive FPS that had a ranked mode and 2/3 of my team quit, I'd expect the option to be able to forfeit the match or just have it stop entirely due to the imbalance. Without these kinds of tools or the player base to back it up, I just don't see it working as a ranked mode. Overall though, Ballistic is a very impressive demonstration of what Epic can do in Fortnite, and the FPS tools are shaping up quite nicely. There is no pretending that Ballistic can compete with Counter-Strike or Valorant, and it also seems like a huge audience mismatch. If anybody in Fortnite ends up enjoying Ballistic a lot, it's basically just going to push them in the direction of Counter-Strike or Valorant. It probably would have been better for Epic to clone a different FPS genre, maybe even a classic arena shooter, since it's got that short attention span vibe and jump pads and rocket launchers and that kind of fun stuff. I think Ballistic is more of a tech demo, here's what we can do, than Epic banking on this becoming the next big esports game. That is despite it being very competent in many ways. I can't say I'd recommend jumping into Ballistic since there's just better esports offerings out there, but it's cool to see what Epic are doing, and I have no doubt that their direction with Fortnite is going to make them a real juggernaut in the space of player-created experiences. What are your thoughts on this FPS mode and the future of Fortnite? Also, if you want to see another game that is doing quite well that is also copying another game, check out my recent video on the Delta Force beta. I think you guys will enjoy that. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.